Alrighty, getting back. I'm working on the neighbor's woodshed here. So see, we've got this skid down here on the gravel. The pad's pretty level. And what we've got here is some brackets. I built these. You can buy similar stuff. I don't know if you can buy one that's set up to be welded onto a pipe like that, but easy enough to build. It's just some 1/4 inch strap, and drilled the holes in there. And you can see what I did is I tack welded these together in pairs when I machined all the holes in them, right? So 2 pieces there. I don't know if I can do it one-handed, but with just that little bitty tack weld on top, easy enough. You can just break it back apart just like that, and then you got kind of matched sets. So they've got all the lumber on hand and everything, so we'll try and get this knocked out this weekend, at least get the all the framing done. So then what we've got here is just a cutoff piece. This back wall is going to be 8 foot, so cut part of that off of one of the posts, using it as a spacer with the bolts just to clamp it together. We'll weld the outsides, pull the wood out of the middle, weld up the insides, what we can get to, and then move on to the next one. Now, lumber's not perfect, and so we found that there's enough variation in all these posts that on this back wall we're going to use the cutoffs of all of the tops or bottoms, however you want to look at it, as the spacer for each individual piece of lumber. That way they match, right? So it doesn't have to be, that way we don't mess up and put the brackets too close together. So we'll just use each post as the spacer when we weld those on there. And on the front, there'll be 10-foot posts. They won't get cut off, so we'll just stick the post laying out there. It'll just be one in the middle here, actually, and one on either corner. We'll just lay them kind of running out here wild, weld them up and get them out of our way, and then start standing up the walls. So I think what we're going to try to do is get all the brackets welded in on the back side here, and then probably go ahead and frame out that wall. We can do it down here on the ground where it's easier to work, and then just stand the wall up one piece at a time. So I think just 2 pieces, 2 or 3 of us, we should be able to stand that up no problem. And then we'll get it anchored in, weld on the side posts, the side brackets rather, and then put this beam in, or the column rather, and then we can run our girts out to the front there. And then same thing on the front, we can build the back side of the header down here on the ground, and then stand it up and then build out the front side of the header. Yeah, so anyway, just gotta do some welding, and I'll show you here in just a minute. All right, well, it's been a little while since we were working on this woodshed here. I meant to get a lot more video of it, but it went up so fast, we just kind of did it all at once. So here it is. Don't have the shakes on the siding yet. I do want to point out a few things. I made a couple mistakes. So see right here, we had to add some little extensions. So this is just for attaching the actual shakes to the siding on here. But what I did is I built this skid on 12-foot and 24-foot centers. Well, the building, the way it was designed, was to have 12-foot end to end, 24-foot this end to the other end. So I kind of messed that up, and it ended up a little bit short. So this out here, from this end to the other end, should have been 12-foot, but instead 12-foot lands right here, as you can see. So made a mistake there. That sucks. It's irritating, but we just fixed it by adding all those little blocks so we can add the siding. And then we kind of messed up here on the roof of the building as well. It's not a big deal, but we ended up having to add hangers, joist hangers, and then I screwed up a couple times. So one, the original design should have had these headers, which these are 2x10 headers, should have been down low enough that the rafters would sit up on top of them. But we didn't think about that, and we had already stood up the walls before we went to hang the rafters. Now then, up here on this side, you can see, kind of, it's hard to tell, 2x4, purlins up there. Now that is hung the way it's supposed to be, but on this one, we should have, we set the top of the joist to 2x4 depth below the top of the header, but it's a double header. You see that? Right, so one on either side of the post. So we should have actually set the top of the joist here, the top of the rafters rather, to the very top of this side of the header. And that would have worked out. And so we had to make up some space, and our purlins are doubled up right there. So kind of custom. That's my fault. That was what I had in my head, the way that was going to work, but it just didn't. The other thing I hadn't thought about was down here. We got brackets on the outside, which means that we had to kind of cope these around. So we had to cut out some of that. And then there's a bolt right here. So we just had a hole saw that was kind of the right size. We just hole sawed that out to get it out of the way. So anyway, it's all good. It's plenty strong. And we've got the roof on as well. Now, we've got some big 6-inch trim to go on here. But yeah, you can see that. That gap right there is more than it was supposed to be. And again, that's because the building is a few inches longer than it was supposed to be. And the same on this side. We thought we were going to be more closer to kind of split the difference, but this side over here is closer than the other side. No big deal though. The trims that are going on the side are going to be plenty long for that. And then because the roof panels here are sized for a 12-foot depth of building, it's a little bit short up front. That same 6-inch trim will go across the front though, and it'll cover up all those mistakes, and it'll still be a good watertight building. So anyway, my mistakes, whatever, it's all good. Yeah, but it looks good though. It's big. It's bigger than we kind of thought when we were just thinking about it on paper, but there it is, post frame. And one of the cool things about building post frame buildings, which is why I'm such a fan of it, is just how fast and how easy it goes up. And then, the other thing, you might be looking at all these wall girts and thinking, man, they're really close, and they are. They're 16-inch centers, and that's because we're using pallet wood to make the shakes, and so 16-inch centers happen to work out good for the material that we'll be able to recycle out of all the pallets that we have. So there's a lot more wall girts in it than there would normally be. They normally be on like 2-foot centers. And if we were doing sheet metal, I mean, honestly, it'd probably already be done. But shakes is what they wanted, so that's what we're doing. We're working on cutting them up now. So anyway, I'm going to show you just a little bit of that. And then that'll be probably a little while before we get them all actually installed, but it's going pretty good. So here's a bunch of shakes cut up, kind of sorting them by size. There's different size pallets, different size shakes. But what we're doing is just coming in here and just cutting them off, and that saves you trying to get all them nails out. They're pneumatically driven nails, and they got that glue and stuff on them, so the nails don't pull very well, and it tends to just break the one by up here on top. So we can just cut them here and cut them here, and then for each of these boards you get 2 shakes, which is all we're going to get out of them anyway. You end up with just a little bit of waste over here on this side. So, but anyway, so far not even done half the pallets that we have, and it's a pretty good pile of lumber right there. So pretty happy with it. Well, we've been cutting shakes all afternoon. Not quite sure how many pallets we cut up, but turned into a pretty good pile. Looking at it earlier, I didn't think we were going to have near enough. This wall may not get shakes, may do sheet metal on it, so we just have to do this long back wall, one short wall there, but these are all about 17 inches, 16 inches, short ones over there, and a pile of some long ones over there. And we still got more pallets to do, and all of them to cut up. It's been our work table. We about got that stacked done, just a few left there. And then we got all of this is all cut up as well. Different tubs for different sizes. So, and then this giant pile of scrap. So, kindling for days. Anyway, we'll be back at it later, get all these cut up and start putting them on.